There's nothing like an anime where you feel like you're kind of peeling away the layers of an onion to get further and further into the mystery that the world itself provides. And that's definitely the feeling I had with Shadowhouse, a 13-episode series that aired in the spring 2021 anime season. And this is my review of this series, so let's jump right into it. Shadowhouse opens up with a veil of mysteries. It's essentially a mansion that has all of these people in it that are known as the Shadowhouse family members. And each one of them seem to have, like, just a silhouette to themselves. They wear clothes, but essentially everything else, their hair, their skin, everything is pitch black. They have no form to them, just a silhouette. And each one of these Shadowhouse family members are kind of paired with a living doll. And this living doll is essentially their face. It kind of insinuates at some point in the series that these living dolls are supposed to be at the Shadowhouse family member's side at all times, and thus kind of portray their emotion, their facial expressions, because they themselves are just a silhouette. And as the series opens up, we follow this girl that eventually gets named Emilico, who is one of these new living dolls, and she lives alongside Kate, who is her master. And through Emilico's eyes, we end up learning the ins and outs of the Shadowhouse alongside her. She learns that she has to basically serve her master, Kate. She goes into her room every single day and cleans up the soot, as we find out that these Shadowhouse family members essentially emit soot from themselves. And in the case of Kate, who is her master, it kind of pillows up above her head whenever she's kind of emotional or in distress. And this soot, we find out, is kind of dangerous in the idea that if they don't clean it up and keep the house itself clean, eventually the soot will gather and create phantoms that essentially are dangerous. So Emilico, like I said, every day will come into Kate's room and she will clean up the soot, and then she will go back to her chambers. And eventually it kind of evolves from that as she gains the ability to essentially leave the room and help the other living dolls as they clean the rest of the mansion. And it's at this time that we kind of start learning more about the other Shadowhouse family members, other children that are just starting out, that just obtain their living doll, and eventually how they will have to go to what they call a debut, whereas essentially when the Shadowhouse family member gets to an age where they can become an adult and become part of the Shadowhouse family. And this debut is essentially a test for them. And like I said before, it's kind of a mystery exactly what they're supposed to be doing. It seems like the test itself is to prove that the living doll can become the face of the Shadowhouse family member, because like I said, they're just silhouettes. They have no expressions. And it's really in all of these different ideas that Shadowhouse itself, the series, is so interesting and it's intriguing as its mystery is slowly unraveled, and you start learning more about the living dolls, you start learning more about the Shadowhouse family members, you start learning more about the mansion itself, who's within it, what they're supposed to be doing. Because like I said, it seems like it's kind of left a mystery exactly what Emilico is supposed to do. It almost seems as if the Shadowhouse family members, as they first start out, don't really have a clear idea exactly what they're supposed to be doing, as Kate is slowly kind of figuring out exactly what it is for a living doll to be with a Shadowhouse member, and what exactly the debut is, and what it means to become a Shadowhouse family member. And it's in this intrigue, it's in this mystery that I absolutely love this series. I think this is a prime example of a series that is willing to kind of keep its cards close, and slowly over time reveal those cards in very interesting ways that make you just crave more and more and more. And thankfully, unlike a lot of mystery series, this one feels like it's actually revealing things at a really strong pace. I honestly didn't think that a lot of the things that got revealed would have been revealed in this adaptation. I figured this would be one of those things where, yeah, we'll get a clue as to a couple of things, and the series will end, and it'll say, go read the manga. But that really wasn't the case here. It gave me a nice feel of reveals to really unravel this world to the point where I feel really satisfied with how this series concluded. Now, I will admit, with the 13th episode, it was going at such a crazy, chaotic pace that I was afraid that things wouldn't come to a really solid chapter close, but it actually did. Now, there is still some mysteries left for it to really tell in the manga, or hopefully a second season, but they're things that I assumed would be kind of the more overarching plot for this series and not really revealed right off the bat. And I'm perfectly fine with that. Like I said, I feel very satisfied with what I watched, even though technically the story is not ended at this point. And thankfully, the mystery and everything is not all this series provides. For one, it's visually pleasing. I really do love the Victorian goth dark theme that the series has. It's not that it's, gritty, it's not that it's gory or violent. Even though it still has a sense that there is dangers there, it's just a theme that I think really suits it really well. I love the character designs. I love the setting. I love the visuals they give. They really put a lot of detail and work into the environments that it kind of has with the series. Now, granted, the only negative I would give is that it's such a dark setting that there's often cases where, in certain hallways later at night, you don't really get to see much. It's really, really dark and gloomy at times. But at the same time, I love the aesthetic. I love the character designs. And at the same time, the characters themselves are fantastic. Kate was great. She was very quiet at first, but Emilico kind of slowly pulls her out of that quietness. Emilico herself is really a shining beacon in the series. You have a dark and more gothic theme to it. Having this character that's almost like a shining sunshine of ray within this series definitely fits it. She definitely manages to pull a lot of people out of kind of this more gloomy state, of this more serious and reserved state, and really pull out their nature, pull out their emotions, and pull out their character. And it was funny, at some point they actually called, they're nicknamed Emilico Sunshine, and it definitely fits. She's a fantastic character that really brought a smile to my face every single week, even though I had a very kind of more, again, dark and gloomy feel to the series. She was that ray of sunshine to kind of pull me through the series and still make me smile in the end. Along with them, there's a supporting cast, which I think is fantastic as well. Now, granted, it's not like an in-depth look into each of these characters. With the debut and everything, you did get a perspective of their character and what they can essentially add to the story going forward, and what little we did get with them in the series itself with the debut and the following segments, is a really, like I said, a really solid cast of characters that have their own unique personalities and how they see they should, basically deal with certain situations. Having like more of the stern and cocky side of Ricky and Patrick, having the more loving side of Luis and Lou, having the more kind of quiet and to yourself nature of Shirley and Rum. They definitely all each added their own personalities to the mix, and they all felt like their own genuine character. It didn't feel like they were archetypes. They felt like they were their own character. And don't let me get started on John. He's absolutely fantastic. But they were fantastic. I loved them. And even the more side supporting characters that were in the series much shorter, with, Barbara and Barbie being the star bearers who were kind of like the hall monitors. Their personality stood out significantly. It's just a great cast of characters to really add a vehicle to unraveling this very mysterious world, and I just ate it all up. I cannot express enough how much I enjoyed this series. Its theme, characters, mystery, everything was on point, and it has turned out to be essentially a Anime of the Year contender for sure. I hope that we get another season adaptation. I don't know at this point. I haven't seen anything, but I definitely recommend the series even still. It is a fantastic series. I'm even tempted to go check out the manga if we don't get an adaptation for a second season anytime soon. But that is my review on Shadowhouse. Definitely a huge suggestion from me. In a season with some really strong contenders like Odd Taxi, it definitely still stands out there as a really awesome mystery. But I hope you guys enjoyed my review of this series. If you did, leave a like down below. Comment, let me know what you thought of the series, or if you're going to check it out. Subscribe if you haven't already. Share this video if you can. And I thank y'all for watching, and y'all take care.